You kind of are empathetic now because you've actually been through it. Well, in this situation, we're going to go back to they're talking about the fires, and Trump is actually offering real money to people that the government typically would not give them, and he's going over the fact that California has been planning on taking these people's property and their land for years now. I've shared other videos where they openly talk about trying to force local property owners and people that own these big apartment complexes to have to sell to the state government. And they passed laws where the government had the first right of refusal, and they would allow people to use eviction protection. This is during the lockdown, so that they would be forced to sell it to the state. That way they would own it, and the property owners will lose everything. So your tenants don't got to pay rent, but you got to still pay your mortgage. There was limited mortgage assistance, if any at all. So this right now, what's happening is that they're already starting to block people away from having access to their property that burned down. And they actually were planning on putting up fencing. And in some places they still might. Unless Trump is really stern about this, these people are going to lose their property. They're going to, they're going to do an eminent domain push is what it's looking like. And they're going to take these properties from these people. So there will be no returning. There will be no rebuilding. There might be some rebuilding, but as of right now, I don't see them allowing anybody to rebuild because that would defeat the purpose of them creating the conditions to burn down their properties anyway. So if you look closely, Karen Bass is talking nonsense, and the adults get tired of her and they take her mic away. So look right here. She has a microphone, and shortly she will not have a microphone. And I thought that was just hilarious. Let's see here. Actually, go back. I'm trying to see how I can zoom in for you guys so you can see it clearly.
Hours just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency power.
It's at the 37 right here.
They want to go to work and they're not allowed to do it. Most a week is a long time to be safe.
That's not the most important thing.
You know what?
And they took her mic. They didn't ask for permission. They have their own mic, but they took hers. There's no need for her to talk anymore. She has nothing sensical to say. She's contributing nothing to the conversation. She's a DEI hire. That means she has no thoughts. She has no ideas. She does what she's told. And she's a waste of space and a waste of money. No credentials, no merit, just based on the fact that she's gay and she's black, which is fucking horrible, that you would literally put someone in power based on such superficial things like their appearance. I mean, are we looking for who we're going to book to be a stripper at our bachelor party? Or are we trying to find elected officials here? Because that's how you find a stripper, is you base it on their looks and their sexuality. Ridiculous.
Now, they're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time.
And you know how it goes with the government. A week turns into 2 weeks, which turns into 2 months, which turns into 2 years. They were going to stall these people out. There was never going to be any return back to their properties at all. This was going to turn into an eminent domain thing, and they're going to say it's a civil matter and tie it up in the courts, drag it out. But by then, the land gets acquired by the state. They clear it. They get permits. They start rebuilding. They are not going to give these people permits to rebuild. Even the people who have the money, they're not going to give them permission unless Trump literally steps in like he's doing right now and gives them guarantees, and he's actually monitoring this, and he stops them from basically taking these people's properties, because that's what they want to do in California. This is prime real estate, and they want it.
Hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in there. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them, everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18.
18 months for a permit. So what do you do in the meantime? You think they're going to just let your land sit there barren and in these pristine prime areas and nothing's going to happen to it. They're not going to take it. Someone else is not going to come there and try to put a bid on it or buy stuff around it. You're going to return back to your home in 18 months, expecting everything to be the same. Not going to happen.
Months. And that was last night on that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets. We can't even. This is our first time we saw our house was yesterday.
Mr. President, we're going to be together next week, and during the interim, many of us are involved in Tom McClintock, who you know has been an expert on this for years.
Right.
We are going to be putting conditions on the money that do two things: require that it be done timely and affordable, and then secondly, that we protect those who will come afterwards. As we speak, there are 6,000 acres burning in my district on the Mexican border. There will be more fires until we include in any disaster relief items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to see us proposing both of those.
Like water.
Yeah. Like water. And I love how he's saying it to her fucking face. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but you gotta get in these people's faces. You can't be afraid. You can't play nice. This isn't about, no, you have to literally confront them straight ahead.
Now the party of common sense. See, we're the party of common sense. You're not, in all fairness.
Yes, sir.
We like.
You see how he's calling out a Democrat and saying that they're not the party of common sense directly to their face. He's not waiting to do an interview later. He's not, doing a little tweet with like a little sneak diss, telling you directly to your face. And this is what all these cowards who are just talking all this nonsense, this is what they're afraid of. Somebody who actually is about what they're saying they're about.
Water to put out fires. It's really quite efficient. All right.
This is incredible that we have to literally do this in the United States in the year 2025. Let's see here. There was actually another video of this is Bill Cosby in drag, and apparently they're from California and is a PhD. I'm telling you, this is Bill Cosby in drag. Announced that the state intends to secede from the union, which will never happen. California doesn't have for one thing, you won't have permission from the Fed, and they don't have a military to back up what they're trying to do if they wanted to in the first place. So I've been saying this for a while. We're going to have to bring California back into the republic by force. There's too many gay, black, lesbian people involved in their government, which is opposed to the federal United States government. They're anti-American. The entire state, the apparatus, and literally they don't follow federal laws, and they are literally breaking all of our norms. It seems like the entire West Coast has tried to succeed because Oregon follows California, and so does Washington State, then Nevada. And you see, that's why people voted out Sisolak in Nevada, because he was trash. He was going along with these communists, and they think that they can get away with it because they've got away with it for so long. And that's going to be ending very soon. So Bill Cosby with drag, you will not be able to hold taking away our Jell-O deposits as leverage for much longer. That will be over with. And Trump also addresses, he removed Fauci's protection detail, and they're trying to make him feel guilty about the fact that, Fauci, for one thing, made a lot of money. He can pay for his own, but he does not deserve the protection, and Trump's not going to feel some type of way if something happens to happen to Fauci.
Yeah.
Comment.
What?
Security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, sir. Do you have a comment?
No, I think, when you work for government, at some point your security detail comes off, and, you can't have them forever. So I think it's very standard. If it would be for somebody else, you wouldn't be asking the question. The question is very fair. But, you work for government. We took some off other people too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government.
Do me a favor, like and subscribe. If you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, wherever you're watching this, like and follow, and you'll get more updates. I'm doing more and more videos every day, so stay tuned.
We'll see what happens.
Fauci
No.
or John Bolton.
No.
Also, Bolton lost his security detail also. They know that what they did was against the people, and they're afraid, and they should be. Because why do you need so much security? Who are you afraid of? Why are you afraid? What did you do? Why did you need Fauci? Why did you accept a pardon? For what? I thought you were the science. So who are you accepting the pardon for? For you or for the science? Because if it's just the science, then what do you need a pardon for? Doesn't make any sense. And why did they go back to 2014? What were you doing back in 2014, Fauci?
They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out. I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Fauci made a lot of money. They all did. So if they, felt that strongly, I think that certainly I would not take responsibility.
And so let's get back to the topic.
After years of working from home, federal workers could soon be forced to return to the office 5 days a week. President Trump signed a desk full of executive orders after his inauguration, including the elimination of telework options.
Right. So now the big question, what does this mean for the DMV? And perhaps more importantly, what does it mean for different agencies and industries in our region? 7 News reporter John Gonzalez is with us live downtown, breaking down some of the pros and cons. So John, fill us in.
If you think about it, even the people that are reporting on this don't get to work from home. They don't get to just sit there in their underwear with a blazer on, with their socks on and nude down, and just get to pretend like they're working. Where the companies have to install security programs that you don't know about that make sure your eyes are open, to make sure you're actually typing, you're not just playing around, and they have to do that because you're a child, and you're going to try to take advantage if they allow you to. So, but think about it. The DEI people lost their jobs. You federal people that didn't get fired, you should be grateful that you still have one. That's one thing I can't stand is ungrateful people. Say thank you that you're still gainfully employed. You could be like Jamal and Jaquan and out on your ass because, well, you can't really qualify for most of the jobs and you only got in because of how you looked or because you claim to be gay. So it could be worse. So be grateful that you even still have your job. Be grateful your job's even necessary. A lot of this stuff in government is redundant, and I'll be glad when it starts to get slimmed down. They're going to be trimming the fat very, very soon. A lot of these jobs do not need to exist. They are redundant. And if you're complaining about coming back to work, then don't go. Go work somewhere else. Go start a business. See if somebody else will pay you to stay home. But ripping off the government, I'm glad they're cracking down on that. Hopefully this is a part of the Doge initiative in the first place. Just wasteful spending has to go. And if you feel some type of way about it, you can always quit. No one's forcing you to go to work. Quit.
Yeah, with the stroke of a pen, President Donald Trump wants to see federal office buildings bustling again, busy again, just like this building right here at L'Enfant Plaza next to the metro station. Well, from restaurants to transit agencies, everyone across the DMV is now working on contingency plans, anticipating an influx of federal workers. Metro trains and the Beltway could soon be more crowded, but it could also mean more revenue. While Metro
could mean more revenue, you guys don't understand. Do you understand the kind of hit the commercial real estate market took the last 4 years? Commercial real estate has bottomed out. They were literally, now they're talking about converting commercial office buildings into low income and homeless housing back in California because it's all empty because everybody's been teleworking or working from home, working remotely from wherever they want. And think about the businesses that were literally opened years ago in anticipation of these employees being in these buildings. All of a sudden you're gone, your money's gone. What about those people? What about the businesses? What about the local economy? You're so worried about what's convenient for you. You're not thinking about the bigger picture, is that there's literally an entire economy that's built upon you being in person in these offices. And we can't let these businesses, just shutter and everything close down because you want to stay home and dick around.
Bus ridership has now exceeded pre-pandemic levels. Metro Rail continues to lag, but showing promise. For the first quarter of Metro's fiscal year 2025, rail ridership is up 7%, and revenue has seen a 33% jump. WMATA's chief of planning and performance says the system is ready, primed to accommodate future growth. But while Metro might be welcoming federal workers back with open arms, the American Federation of Government Employees says teleworking just makes more sense, saves time and money for millions of families, lowers pollution, they say, and ultimately.
So there's no argument. The pollution thing is not an argument. It's nonsense, especially in the year 2025. That's not even a real concern anymore. Climate change is a hoax. All that stuff is nonsense. So that means that they don't really have any good reasons for why they don't return to work. And I mean, I just couldn't imagine. I've been to DC, I've been to Pentagon City, but then I've seen the pictures of it since lockdown, and I'm like, Jesus, could you just? These are vague. It's just like back in LA when everybody was in the house and nobody was on the roads. Just looking at these places seemed just deserted. The busiest places in the country. It's a shame. No, we have to get back to work, and we will.
Certain jobs operate better when done remotely.
There's all kinds of reasons why just a willy-nilly 100% return to the office might not work. There might not be adequate
Well, it worked.
office space. There might be.
Well, it worked when you were hired there. This is all new. And now you got lucky. You've been lucky enough to just stay home and set your own terms, your own schedule, do whatever you want. No, that's not fair. And that's actually very inefficient. And we're looking for efficiency going forward. If you don't like it, you can quit and go work somewhere else. And that's what the options are. Sitting here and complaining is not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to make a difference. No one's coming to save you so you can stay your ass at home. You can just quit or try to game the system some other way. But this way is over.
All kinds of accommodations that the agency wouldn't have been aware of. We are hopeful that the administration will honor the terms of collective bargaining agreements and even individual telework agreements.
Nope.
Mass transit could also see more commuters that simply don't want to drive because of highway congestion and toll prices that could increase because of the change here. Restaurants are definitely looking forward to welcoming
But that's too bad. You're going to
federal workers back and having their happy hour crowd back. Coming up in half an hour, you will hear from the CEO of Pupatella Pizzeria here in DC and what they're doing to get ready for the change. Reporting live, John Gonzalez, 7 News.
Got me thinking about happy hour already, John, just a mere 10 hours away. Well,
I mean, I don't know how I feel about a place called Pooperia, but.
Well, the end of remote work could be near for federal workers. President Trump's new executive order means federal workers must return to the office 5 days a week. It is a policy change that's getting support now from DC's Democratic mayor. Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald's at the Capitol. And Fitz, President Trump did not delay on this one. He did this day one.
And by the way, these people, if they don't know that there's somebody watching and taking down names of federal employees who are announcing how they don't want to go back to work and they're disdain, you got to think about it. The government, the federal employees of the government are about to be cut like in half. Let's see here. How many people does the American government employ? As of November 2024, a federal government employed over 3 million people, which includes over 600,000 postal workers. 3 million people. How many of these people are trying to not go back to work? And you think that they're going to just allow that many people? For one thing, that number is going to get cut down in half. Again, a lot of these government jobs are redundant and they don't serve a purpose. They're wastes of money. So we're looking to get rid of a lot of departments. I mean, they're saying upwards of 30 to 40% of these departments. So they're keeping score of who's complaining about coming back to work because they are probably making so that you don't ever have to come back, ever. And then you can complain about that too. But why would you want some of these people who are ungrateful for having a job? You should be more grateful and you should appreciate the opportunity instead of sitting here and complaining about having to go to the place where you signed up to go to work.
And he certainly did, Angie, and expect that this is just going to be the first step in the president's efforts to remake the federal workforce, cut through bureaucracy, and instill more what he says is efficiency. Now, remember, work from home began during the first Trump administration. Back then, COVID-19, the precautions and shutdowns, but the federal health emergency has been over since May 2023, but yet many federal workers still work from home. A recent Senate report found that only 6% of federal workers work a 5-day full-time basis, and nearly 1/3 of the entire federal workforce still works from home. Many taxpayers
and we wonder
capital rating.
And we wonder why everything moves so slow in government and why everything's so inefficient. All these employees, and we're having such a hard time getting things done. I'll be honest, I think we should replace 80% of the government workforce and trim it down 60%, smaller government, and put a lot of these jobs, a lot of these things the government does should be in the hands of the states anyway. Let these people become state employees and no longer just depend on the federal government to just give you nonsensical jobs that really don't do any good. I know they hired all these new IRS agents 2 years ago. I know I didn't see a difference in processing times. Nobody has. People are still waiting on checks. People are still waiting on stuff to get processed. But the good thing is Trump's announcing that those new IRS hires, if they want to keep their jobs, they're going to have to go down to the border. They are going to be working at the border. You're not going to just be able to choose where you work. That is your boss's job. That's your employer's job. It's strange to me that these adults who live in the real world, allegedly, don't understand the whole employee-employer dynamic. They think it's a negotiation, or they think it's something that, you have an equal say with your boss. And they don't understand how things work. And I'm just like, how did you make it this far in life as an adult? And then you got to realize these schools basically turn you into activists. They don't really prepare you for the real world. And you never really grow up. You're just an old ass child. And the good thing is this, now they're going to crack the whip. We're getting rid of the people we don't need, and we're going to slim this thing down to be more nimble and efficient. And I'm here for it. We're going to need it to bring the republic back from the dark places it's been the last few years.
Now for the inauguration, tell Fox 5 they'd have to go back to work. They think all federal workers should as well.
We will also require that federal workers must return to the office in person.
People do need to go back to work, in my opinion, because everything's over now.
I don't necessarily think it's a valid, I think it's a political stunt.
Imagine how much money is taking to actually run those buildings. No one's working it.
One of the supporters of this return to work effort is none other than DC's Democratic Mayor Muriel Bowser, was cited several times over the last few years that the lack of federal workers in the nation's capital has hurt the local economy. And while some labor attorneys tell Fox 5 they expect lawsuits to try to stop the White House effort, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says he does have concerns about this one-size-fits-all approach.
If there are any federal employees in these lawsuits, fire them immediately. Fire them. There's no statutes that you can bring up that will basically justify you not having to go to work when you were hired to work somewhere. So basically you can just set your own terms. There's nothing. So you're basically going to just be wasting your own time, the court's time. You're going to have to pay your own court fees. Find out who these people are and fire them ASAP.
This is something we're very focused on. Again, this is an area where we want to take a scalpel and not a meat axe to the issue.
But the reality is that before President Trump took office, there were collective bargaining agreements where a number of workers were allowed to work remotely.
Now, while there's been a lot of talk about this, the when it kicks in, that still isn't clear. The White House releasing an announcement on this saying that they're directing federal department heads to act as, quote, as soon as possible. Live on the Hill tonight. Send it back to you.
You know what? Listen, people are complaining, but look.
President Donald Trump intensifying his crackdown on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, also known as DEI. Trump is ordering federal officials overseeing them to be placed on leave.
You should be grateful that you still have a job in the first place. You won't probably have it if you keep playing around. You know, like they say, F around and find out. There are two ways you're going to learn: the easy way or the hard way. I'll be back in a little bit. Remember to like and subscribe. We have some other topics coming up in a few minutes. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, help me out with the algorithm. I don't necessarily know if that's true. I just hear people say it all the time, so now I'm going to say it. But yes, please on YouTube as well, if you don't mind clicking the link in my bio, Instagram, and just subscribing to the page. Doesn't cost anything. And I will be back with other topics shortly. Thank you very much. And here goes a word from our sponsor, cosigning.com. If you need an apartment and you don't have a friend or a family member willing to be your cosigner because your credit's low or your income's low, you can contact cosigning.com and they will match you with a qualified cosigner today. And here goes a word from our sponsor.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.